Good afternoon. What's happening?
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, Leon, how you
How are
doing?
you? Good.
Bestie,
Yourself?
what up? All right, so we're just gonna go on and get started because, of course, it seemed like, hey, Luke, how goes it? Yeah, it's not this training, it's not gonna take a long time. It'll actually be short and sweet. And as you know, it's being recorded and the materials that you will have access to. But I would suggest definitely take your notes. Luke, it looks like you're driving, so you can get your notes later, go re-review the recording. Okay. Quan, did you want to say anything before I get started?
I think I'm good. I think more important, this is definitely a train I'm looking forward to. With just seeing, what we've learned, what we understand about dealing with agents. This business, this is kind of the next phase, I guess, of, after you learn how to find the houses, after you learn how to um, actually do ARVs and tell us what to offer, the next phase to making more money is becoming a full acquisitions manager. And a full acquisitions manager knows the process from beginning to end. This next process is once you know we want to make an offer, it's a good number. How you contact the agent? What do you say to the agent? How do you get the number out of them? I'm sure Qiana's going to hit on, the fact that we're able to go see the house. So it takes away blind offers, different things like that. So we have some pretty good solutions to where we can get these houses bidded for and at least start the process of being able to put them under contract. But dealing with the agent is super, super important. This sets you guys over to the next stage of how to really, really do this and feel confident. And then that way, when you're contacting us, you already know what the agent will take for the house, what the owner will take for the house. That's a way better situation than you just sending us a deal that we have to find out all the legwork. So that's what I'll say. I appreciate it, Qiana.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for that input, for sure. That is definitely the goal of this call. We want to make all our interactions we have throughout these deals very efficient, because there's a lot of moving pieces. And in order for us to make sure we don't make any mistakes, we don't lose out on any money, it's important that we tighten our stuff up. And it's nice that we're able to give you guys a little bit more knowledge on how to maneuver through the transactions and how to talk to these listing agents so that you guys can make more money, because then it obviously increases your share if you're more active in the deal. Okay, so give me a second, let me share my screen. I made a little PowerPoint for you guys. I thought that was cute. Visuals are always good. Get this out the way. All right, boom. All right. So today we are talking about speaking to listing agents. This is for our locators, transaction coordinators, real estate agents, and anyone who is just interested in learning how to speak to these agents and get the information to close some of these deals. The objective of this training is we want to build the confidence. I know that sometimes you guys might be just nervous talking to the listing agents, or you may feel a little intimidated, and there's no reason to feel that way. And this training will go over that. We just want you to really master the skill of information gathering, learning how to get the information necessary about the property that can kind of give us an idea of how to place our offer or what kind of terms we want to request. The other objective is discussing dual agency and its benefits, and sometimes why we use that or mention it to these listing agents. And then I want to also go over wholesalers versus Kiwi acquisitions, because sometimes we get mistaken as just wholesalers, where we actually work in a specific niche that sets us apart from just your average wholesaler. All right, so you guys get your notes together, pen, and please listen up. All right, so this is just a simple little flow chart I put together. Of course, the deals are definitely can be more complex than what you see here, but this is just pretty much the milestones that we go through in a deal, and everything is case by case. Each deal is different. So we want to make sure that we cover certain areas, find out certain information when we're reaching out to these listing agents. So as you see, the first part of the flow chart, it's calling the agent, right? So it'll either be, you will either request when you're calling the listing agent, you'll want to find out if they are in fact okay with dual agency. Okay, and I would even say, once you introduce yourself, you know, using your lovely voice, I would say lead with that. Because if they say yes, it softens them up a little bit more to think that, okay, good, this is more money in my pocket. Somebody wants, this is a buyer that's going to want me to represent them. So they may be a little bit more, you know, a little bit more chatty, and it may be a little easier for you to grab the information from them. Some of them will say no, that they do not do dual agency, and that's okay because we have our own agents. But then you can still just keep moving through the conversation and just ask general questions like, if the property will be delivered vacant, is, you know, the offer, the number that you've already kind of figured out when you calculated the ARV, if that number is something the seller would consider, or what would get you to escrow. Some of these agents, they'll try to be tight-lipped. We call it a tight-lipped agent. They don't really want to say too much about the numbers because they feel like it's like, what is that, like an unethical move or whatever against them representing the seller. They feel like it's not fair or they're not supposed to discuss it. But what you want to emphasize to them is that you don't want to waste anybody's time. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to go out to properties or anything like that if we know we don't even have a chance of any of our terms being considered. Okay, so that's why we do the information gathering. Certain information too, you may find out when you're looking at, like when you pull it up on Zillow or Redfin or whatever. It's very important that you guys read the overview. Don't skip the overview. Read that paragraph that describes the property, because there's information in there that you need to know. Sometimes there's things in there that talks about the square footage or unpermitted additions to the home. Those are the things you want to arm yourself with when you call, and just kind of get the agent talking about the property. And again, like how we do with the how Quan said in the ARV training, when you're looking for properties, you want to look at all the reasons for us not to buy. So this is still the same. This is still the same information, the same thing you're looking for when you're talking to these agents. You're looking for a reason still not to buy. So you have to make sure you put certain things out there to get that agent talking. The next milestone. Okay, now we're at the point where we're going to write the offer. So it's either going to be dual agency, meaning the listing agent is going to write the offer for Kiwi, or we're going to have one of our agents write the offer. For example, like Leon, he's our in-house real estate agent, so he would write the offers for Kiwi when dual agency isn't an option. When we write the offer, we always want to make sure, look at my little soft hands, and pull that all out of there. Hold on. All right, so you want to make sure that these terms are in when you're communicating with the agent that is going to be writing the offer for us. You want to make sure all of our offers must state in them that the property will be delivered vacant, that there is an option to assign, and the AOAA, the agreement of assignment addendum, needs to be attached with the RPA. When we send the offer, we're starting to send that all together at once, because we've noticed that we get a little delay when we're waiting for the seller to sign off, because it just kind of, I think it just gets confusing for them. And this way it's much smoother if you make sure all these things are already done and stated on your offer, okay? Now, moving over to the next step, next milestone. Offer is accepted. You want to confirm the terms and your due dates on there. Everything is usually based off of seller's acceptance date, and then you'll start the clock from there. You'll want to email a copy of the signed RPA to the Kiwi team. That signed, meaning signed by everyone, all parties, sellers and buyer. All signatures need to be there. Please confirm if you have not received the AOAA back for some reason with the seller's signature, get back with the listing agent and confirm when that AOAA will be arriving, because we need that in order for us to assign to our buyers. And because we like to assign within 24 to 72 hours of acceptance, this could be the one thing that could hold our deal up or break it if we don't have it in place within the timeframes necessary. Now, the next step, which I was just discussing, a signed contract. Now we have to get it with our buyer, Kiwi's buyer. We want to confirm that the AOA has been signed by seller. And then there's another contract that also has to be signed by the Kiwi buyer and Kiwi. This one doesn't have anything to do with the seller. This is just the agreement saying that the Kiwi buyer agrees to pay Kiwi X amount of dollars for finding this property and assigning this contract to them. Next milestone, we close. Here, right between here, signed contract and close, make sure escrow, you have the contact information for escrow. You should have had that back here with offer accepted. You want to make sure that escrow has our wire instructions and our assignment fee invoice. So it'll come, some of you guys should already have a template of that. If you don't, I'll work with you on that once you get to that step, but it's pretty much just a simple document invoice and then bank wire instructions. And so you just want to make sure escrow has the signed AOAA, because that's giving them direction, letting them know that Kiwi is assigning it to a third party and that Kiwi is getting paid because we sent them an invoice and our wire info. Messing with me. All right. Now, what if the listing agent doesn't answer or you can't find the contact information for the listing agent? All right, so you have let's say you have the contact information, but there's no answer, you're not able to get a reply. The first thing you want to do after you don't get an answer, I like to send a text right after I call. Instead of leaving a voicemail, I'll send a text, because usually sometimes they're just probably busy or doing something, but people are usually pretty good about checking their text messages, especially if it's a number they don't know. It's a good, sometimes that's just how people screen their calls. I screen my calls that way. If I don't know the number, you're not saved in my contacts, I'll be looking for a text or something for someone to identify themselves. Otherwise, it might be scam likely. So send a text, wait 24 hours for a reply before follow-up. If you don't hear anything the next day, call the listing agent's office and request information on the desired property. Sometimes those assistants or whatever that answer at the office, they usually know the property, very familiar with it, have probably participated in hosting some of the open houses for that listing agent. So sometimes you can get them chatty too and get the information that you'll need about the property from them to kind of, gauge when we're doing our information gathering. Also, they will give you the listing agent's contact information, her email address. They'll give it to you. They don't have a problem with that. Some people you'll call and you can't get somebody's contact information just because it's, privacy issues, but real estate agents, they don't care. They will give you the cell phone number, they'll give you the email address, whatever they think will help get a deal closed. They'll make sure that you get in contact with the listing agent if there's a property that you're interested in. If that doesn't work, or once you do get the email address, if you still haven't had a conversation with the actual listing agent, go ahead and email the letter of intent and proof of funds. So you're going to do this within the same day. So when you call the listing agent's office and you get the information, you request the email address. After you get off the phone, go ahead and send a letter of intent and the POF. In the body of your email, we actually have a template for that too, and we'll provide that to you once you get to that step as well. In the body of the email, it's just pretty much stating our projected terms for the seller to consider. At last resort, if this is really, really a hot one and we're chomping at the bit and we really want it, one of us will show up to the open house, because better believe somebody is going to be there and be able to really, really tell us what's going on and at the open house too, because what we want to know here also as well, one of the questions I want us to remember to ask is when the seller will be reviewing offers, because sometimes we don't want to put them in way too early or well before an open house, when we know we can just wait until after the open house, see what the numbers are looking like, what the listing agent, take on it is, because you've already kind of developed a rapport. So you want to just, kind of give that some time and see where that falls. Now, if you don't have any contact information at all, like I said before, you can still just call the listing agent's brokerage office to request all the information you need. I usually am able to find mostly everything with Google. I just take their first and last name and their DRE number, and their information usually comes up with no problem, especially if they've been doing deals. Some of these newer agents, it might not come up. You have to dig a little deeper, and that's when you'll come to one of Kiwi's real estate agents, like Leon. You would ask him if he can go into the MLS for you, and their contact information is there, along with instructions on how to submit an offer for that property. And then if that still isn't working, please reach out to your team. That pretty much means me, Quan, Leon, Serena. Reach out to one of us. And if it's something that we still want to do and it's been unsuccessful, then we will do an open house, attend an open house again as a last resort, if this is a hot home, something we really want. And since you guys are actually learning the information now, how to do more than just submit a property, if you want to go attend the open house, that's totally you totally can go decide to do that, because some of this stuff, it's like a feeling. You have to know, like, okay, you know what? I think if I go out here, I think I'll have a better chance of really getting this agent's attention, or really being able to express what I want them to know. Because sometimes they're just short with you on the phone, but when you get them in person and they get to see you get eye to eye, then they relax, they calm down, and they're more open to what you need. All right, so this here, you guys can take a screenshot of this if you want, or again, the copy of this presentation will be available. But this is pretty much the text I send to every listing agent. I don't veer from it. I just copy and paste, and I just change where the underlines are and put in the specific information for whoever it is and whatever property it is. I adjust the offer terms for whatever it is I really want to do. And that's it. There's no need to change it. It's short and sweet. It's straight to the point. And sometimes you'll get cussed out. They'll be like, no, I can't believe you don't know what you're doing. Don't let that discourage you. It doesn't matter what they think about our offer, okay? We're investors. We come from the investor side. We are looking for a discount. We will never pay list price, okay? Now, please do, when you're doing your information gathering, look at the pictures. When you're doing your when you're doing your ARVs, and you're like still, kind of looking in the beginning, look at the pictures really good. Like Quan said, look at the pictures, see if there's any solar, because that's come up before in some of our deals where a home has had solar. We didn't know it. It wasn't in the overview or anything like that. And it's a lease. So it comes with a bill, like it's not even paid off. And so that sometimes can make or break a deal too. So you want to make sure you check for things like that, so that if there's solar, you see it in the pictures, you can ask the listing agent, like, hey, what's the deal with the solar? Is there a monthly? Is it paid off? Things like that. Also, please do, if additions to the property, like I mentioned before, verify this square footage is correct and that any additions are permitted. If you don't know how to verify, please reach out to myself or Quan. I have access to title, so I can pull title and make sure that the square feet matches what's on MLS. And that's usually the way that we'll know if it's permitted or unpermitted. But you can also ask the listing agent, but sometimes you can't really go off what they say, because they want the deal to close. everything is pretty much based on us doing our own investigations, our own due diligence, because every offer we write is as is. So they don't really care to verify the square footage per se for us, okay? So in order to, limit the time it takes to get this information, because it could delay our deal, try to look out for this stuff in the beginning so that we're already prepared. And then, like I said before, please ask when the seller will be reviewing offers. This is very important, and it will make your process more efficient, because you will know when to follow up. You will know how to be in the listing agent's ear, or be the last person he talked to where you're on that listing agent's mind and he's pushing the offer that you wrote to the seller. So there's benefits in, keeping up with the dates with the listing agent, knowing when they're going to review the offers, and making sure that you're very familiar with the property and any little things that we could miss that could mess up our deal. Now, with the please do not schedule an open house if there is no positive feedback on the proposed terms that you presented to the listing agent. Okay, like, we don't go to open houses for fun. We only go to an open house because it seems like they may consider our offer, and they won't take a blind offer. If we can get away with doing a blind offer, that's what we will, because we can do the inspections and all that during our due diligence period. And as fast as we move, it's kind of like, it's like the same thing. If the seller's motivated, buyer's motivated, we can knock that all out in one and don't really have to worry about an open house. But you want to make sure we don't waste anybody's time sending any of our teammates out to an open house that we already know the listing agent is not okay with our terms. And do not, when we're going through these properties, now let's say we have to put this property on hold because there wasn't positive feedback from the listing agent. Don't throw it away. Keep it. Add it to your watch list. Deals fall through. Sometimes the seller is just more hopeful or wishful thinking in the number they think they're going to get for their home, when in all actuality, it's not. And then they find themselves with it 60 days later, still on the market. So don't get rid of it because you still worked on that property. Add it to your watch list because it might come back. And we've had several properties come back. Hell, we just had one come back from June, okay? Came back from June, and they're ready to will and deal with us now. So always keep your properties, keep you a nice little list of the ones that turned down, and make a note of why that one's on hold or why it didn't go through, so that you kind of know what's going on. And it's more ammunition when you talk to the listing agent again, because now they're going to kind of be at your mercy, because now they're trying to find a buyer. All right. Please do not send a assignee to property without a Kiwi member. So the assignee is our Kiwi buyers. Whoever we assign the contract to, we do not want to send them out to the property by themselves or to go meet with the listing agent. Okay, we always want to make sure somebody from our team, our immediate team, is there, because we do not need the chit chat and the extra, just deals fall through that way too. Or they'll cancel our contract, and then the assignee will go right behind us and go make their own deal. And guess what? Me, you, Kiwi, everybody, we're out. Now we're out of the deal. So we want to make sure that we nurture our assignees and hold their hand if we take them to a property for inspection during the due diligence period. Also, lastly, do not freestyle, you guys, okay? There's no need to pretend that you know something that you don't. You always have the option to blame it on a partner, even if you don't have a partner. Always say you have a partner. Anytime they ask you a question, something you may not know about or you don't feel really comfortable answering, just say, hey, let me discuss with my partner and I'll get back to you. Like, oh, you know what? Let me run that by my team. Always, curb yourself out of it, but do not answer, especially if you're not for sure, or if it's outside of your scope of really what you're supposed to be doing. Because sometimes they'll start trying to dig for information and find ways to disqualify you in our offer. So please be careful with that and do not freestyle. Any questions, you know, we're always here for you guys. And guess what? 2022, we coming. You guys have any questions?
No, I don't. Right on point.
You guys good to go? Think you're
Hi
ready?
guys, I know I came in a little late, so sorry, so sorry. I do have a question.
Okay, go ahead, Rena.
A couple times when I've dealt with the listing agent, they say they'll deal with buyers, but they don't want to deal with investors.
Okay, yeah, that was one of the points I was supposed to cover. All right, boom. So they said they'll deal with buyers, but they don't want to deal with investors. Okay, so some of them, yes, because that is because they're probably that seller or whatever, they're after a certain number. And they know with investors, we automatically want a discount. Like we're definitely, no investor is paying what their list is. So that's how they try to categorize us and just kind of be like, nope, no investors. And what I also wanted to mention too is how I know that I've called some listing agents, and they are very adamant about not working with wholesalers. So it's like I'll go through my spill and then they're like, oh, I don't work with wholesalers. Oh, they're this, they that, they suck, we just don't deal with them. And so what I do in that situation too is I'll kind of get on their side. You know what I'm saying? Because they want to complain, they want to vent. So I'm like, all right, go ahead. Because we aren't wholesalers. I believe it. We're not wholesalers. And so I just tell them, I'm like, I agree with you. I can't stand when they do business that way. Man, like, good thing is we're different. We do things very differently. Our contracts are signed within 3 days. Like, we know exactly who's going to buy the property when we write an offer. There's certain things, key things that you can mention to them that is totally different than what all the other wholesalers are doing. This is why we can really embrace that we are an acquisitions management company, because we actually represent and acquire property for specific buyers that have submitted their buying criteria to us. So if we're writing an offer, we already have those buyers in mind. And that's kind of how you can kind of put those agents at ease. But when they say it like that, Serena, it's usually because of the number. What do you think, Quan?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a real good question. The biggest thing with that is we're always the buyer. I've had conversations with agents when Leon's been on the phone with me, for instance, and they'll say, "Well, how can you make an offer, or how can you say what you're gonna pay for it when you haven't seen the property?" I said, "Well, our partner Leon's seen the property. He's not just our partner, right? Or he's not just an agent, he's our partner. So the key is just making sure we're always the buyer. Hey, my group is looking to buy this. Kiwi is the buyer. So if we're going out or we're calling on behalf of Kiwi, we are the buyer. There's no need to confuse them. There's no need to bring up wholesaling. There's no need to bring up acquisitions management. You just call them and let them know, hey, my group is looking to put an offer on this, and wanted to see what's a good price for us to, put in an offer for. Kind of lead that way and let them assume whether you're a wholesaler or not. That's super important. If you don't do that, then they're automatically going to put up red flags. But remember, these contracts are in Kiwi's name, so we're the buyer. So if you're representing Kiwi and you're calling on behalf of us, then technically you are our partner and your group is purchasing the house.
Okay, thank you.
You got it. Anybody else? You guys good?
Y'all think we good?
All right, sweet. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you guys for taking the time out to attend the training. And I will be talking to you guys again soon.
I have a quick question. Can you are you gonna email the this is Anthony. Can you email the slides or?
Yeah, that's not a problem. It'll be shared in our Google Drive. No problem.
Awesome. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Let's get it.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.
Have
Bye-bye.
a good day, everyone. Bye.